You know when you load up Space Engineers and see those springy welders constructing a ship on a rotational spit in the background? Well, I made one, or at least my own version of one. It's small, compact, folds up when not in use, and is integrated into my mothership, and is capable of welding up a fairly sizable vessel. So let's take a look at this rotational printer and see how it works. Parked on the surface of the moon, my mothership, complete with a mining ship, a rover, 2 small atmospheric ships, and now a salvaged wreck laying right beside it, needs to get prepared for the next phase of development. And what I realized I was missing was a quick way to create and even repair the ships in my fleet. I needed a ship printer, but not the platform-based printer with the oscillating arm I showed you previously. No, I needed something compact, portable, and a printer that would fit on my mothership, but still be capable of welding up fairly large vehicles if need be. This rotational printer is what I came up with. Now, like most things I make in Space Engineers, I wind up building, redesigning, improving, and generally re-engineering almost everything I've ever created. So this rotational printer isn't perfect, but it's a solid start. The most obvious place to put this printer was on the rear of my ship, where there'd be enough space to build other ships, and still not interfere with any of the ship's current functions. So my idea was that I'd place a projector on a rotor and spin the image. At the same time, I'd have a row of welders pull away from the rotating holographic image and try to weld up the vessel, from the inside out. I also wanted this thing to be somewhat collapsible, so I started by hooking up this printer to the welders via some conveyor tubes, the new reinforced ones. Then arranged a couple pistons that would push the welder out from the side where I'd place the projection. This wireframe design was awful, so time to start over. This time, rather than conveyor tubes, I started with the pistons and realized I needed at least 2 to get a reasonable distance from the back of the ship. From here, I used my favorite item, the hinge, to go upwards 90 degrees. Place a conveyor tube, and then stack 3 welders as my welding wand. These items were not random. The horizontal pistons would be what I'd use to push away the welders from the projection, obviously. The hinge would allow me not only to go vertical with my welders, but allow me to fold down and collapse the whole mechanism so I wouldn't have these welders permanently sticking up into the air. The conveyor tube would not only get me some needed height, but its skinny profile wouldn't cause me any issues sliding past the flooring that I'm going to have. You'll see that in a minute. Next was another piston to give me a vertical extension for whatever I'm printing. Then, of course, the welders that would get pushed up by that last piston. If you're playing on one of the Keen public servers, or any server that limits the number of welders an individual can have, maybe up to 5, then this is a great build for you. Even though I used 3, I could have just as easily used 2, with a conveyor between, or even 1. But I would have lost a little printable size with just 1 welder. With the wireframe in place, time to weld it up. And it occurred to me that what was ironic here is that I wanted to use a welder ship or drone, but the only welding vessel I had was the atmospheric ship I brought with me from the planet's surface, and kind of needed a welder drone to do this work, but I needed a printer to build my welder drone. So this build was going to get an immediate use to start rebuilding my drone army here in the single-player game. I also needed the rotor and projector. And even though it's standing up a little taller than I want, I think I can work with it. Alright, I had materials traveling through pistons, a hinge, tubes, and to the welders. I had my rotating projector, so the only thing left was a quick way to control it. I used a sci-fi control panel. During this testing phase, it would give me the basic ability to turn things on and off, move pistons in and out, and voila, we're ready for a test print. I like these sci-fi panels over the regular 4-button panels because of how you're able to label them, and I think it kind of adds that extra pizzazz to everything. But I'll cover the whole setup of the control panels maybe another time. For now, on to the test. The first thing I wanted and needed to build was my welder drone. So a simple reach into my blueprints to select the welder drone and, well, okay, it's a small grid build. And this was a large grid projector, but that's easy enough to remedy. You can convert large grid things to small grid things with either the rotor or hinge. You basically place the item, weld up the base, grind out the large head, and replace it with a small head. Then I could place the same small rotor and projector, and just like that, a small grid projector in the same setup as the large grid. And as a reminder on how to orient the projector, the marks that make up the plus sign is the top, and the marks that make up the minus side is the front. And I wanted my projection to start facing up and down. Though it's not that big a deal, because you can rotate and flip your projection any old which way you want, it just makes it a little more intuitive to have your image projected in the way you'd naturally think about it. So, there's the welder drone, spinning beautifully in its holographic glory. With this build, it was small enough where I might not even need to spin it, because the welders themselves might reach all the components. But even on a larger build, I probably would want to go slowly and move things more manual, checking the build as I go. What I already didn't like about this setup was that I couldn't see the image and the panel at the same time. I think a couple improvements here would be to put my controls up on a higher platform, and even see about switching out the basic control panels with a control station, like you'd use if you were piloting a ship. With that, I'd have access to more functions at once, all numerically controlled, and be able to free look and keep a good eye on the assembly while being welded, and quickly activate what I needed. That would be phase 2 though. For now, I just wanted to see if the thing would work.
It'll work.
Welders on. A little welder movement. A little rotation. Looking good. And clang. Decided to have a party.
Come on, let's keep a little optimism.
But it's understandable. Between the rotational movement, the drone's gyroscopes trying to keep it stable, and the engines being on, fighting against the whole thing, a little wobble as expected. Just needed to kill the engines, and problem solved.
I told you it was gonna work.
I do need to think ahead a little better about a detachment strategy, but there's always a way. And just like that, I have my welder drone. It was curious why the small reactor didn't weld up, but when I checked, it was because I had run out of reactor components on my mothership. Easy to overlook and easy to fix. A fully functional drone. It worked. I could park this over to the side now and finish placing my skeleton of this platform. First thing is to extend the welder array and lower the welding arm according to plan. Then place the blocks. These half-size blocks will allow the welding array to withdraw and collapse without colliding. A lot of times I'll use the shaved down side of a blast door block, but they're really heavy. And this mobile base is a kind of ship, so the light armor half blocks would be fine. And with this final compaction of the welders, I will say this is excellent.
Everything is going as planned.
I don't have any idea how big to make the rest of the platform, but I'll think about that. And I'm starting to get some ideas about how to turn that into something kind of special. And speaking of special, it's time to announce the winner of the Eco giveaway. Without any further fanfare, the winner of the giveaway is Gutierrez. To claim your prize, send me an email to my business email address you'll find on my channel's homepage. After that, you'll get set up with a game key and be playing Eco in no time. As for space engineers, I'm going to be improving this printer, and I'll show you that. But I've got an idea for a little companion drone that'll automatically follow me around without scripts. And I'm getting prepped to leave the moon to go out into space and start building my space station. But I want to start making things a little spicy, and we'll be putting that station right in a lane of space pirate traffic. And so we'll see how that goes. I've also got a poll posted on my channel to see whether you'd like my next playthrough to start with The Long Dark or Red Dead Redemption 2. Let me know what you'd like to see. Till next time, take care, and I'll be talking to you later.